Information you want. Truth you demand. This is the Brian Kilmeade Show.
The least we can do today is come out here and stand with our Palestinian resistance, who are our heroes, who are our lions, as they are defending Palestine. They are defending every revolutionary today. They are defending Masjid al-Aqsa. They are defending every Palestinian father, children, mother, brother, sister. It is the Palestinian resistance who is defending them, while international countries and nations have been silent.
That's a CUNY student at Brooklyn College, obviously going off on the Palestinian as if he's auditioning to be a member of Hamas and maybe attack a child, and maybe capture a 4-year-old and bring him hostage. That's the type of idiots that are showing themselves at these CUNY demonstrations, not all, but most. That is not new to my next guest, who, if you're watching on Fox Nation, you see him. If you saw him on Fox and Friends about 2 hours ago. He is Jeff Lax. He's a grandparent. His grandparents survived the Holocaust. He is a CUNY law professor. Jeff, great to see you. You do not agree with this. You're outraged by this.
Of course. Yeah, of course I'm outraged by it.
And you are somebody that has witnessed this before. So sadly, you're not surprised by it. What is going on at that school that there are so many people who are akin to the Palestinian Hamas cause?
Well, I think this goes back many years. I mean, you have to go back at least 10 years to see the roots of this. And I was screaming about this 10 years ago because I saw the beginnings of it. I mean, these are true dyed-in-the-wool Marxists. You have to understand, at the faculty at CUNY, at these union meetings, they call each other comrade. It's not a joke. It's a serious greeting that they use with each other. And their main goal is not to educate students, is to indoctrinate the students. And so we've been seeing this for many, many years, happening in the classrooms, and they prey, Brian. They prey on the weakest, most vulnerable students that we have. We see them going to disability officers, which we call accessibility. They'll go into those offices and they'll tell those students, you have to go to this rally. You have to go to this thing. It's a must. It's your duty. It's your civic duty. It is social justice.
They're not even political science majors necessarily?
No. And usually most of the stuff they do has nothing to do with what they teach on campus.
So listen to some of the chants they had going yesterday. Cut 40.
There is only one solution. Intifada revolution. Intifada revolution. Intifada, intifada.
So they hear the horror of what happened October 7th, and they feel compelled to chant that. What does that mean? They're calling for intifada, which is an uprising, and they're saying one solution means what?
Kill the Jews. I mean, intifada means kill the Jews. And when Hamas calls for a day of jihad, so a couple of weeks ago, right after the week following October 7th, the attacks on Israel, Hamas called for a day of jihad. And, you had these rallies around the world, including many at CUNY. And there were rallies at CUNY that Thursday, that Friday, on the day of jihad. How is a Jewish student supposed to feel coming onto campus that we got calls? I founded a group called S.A.F.E Campus, and we got calls from our group asking us, should I send my kids to school today? Is it safe?
And what's your answer?
It's a very hard question to answer for somebody. Okay, I don't want to tell a parent not to send their kid to school, but I also want to tell them that we do hear that there might possibly be something unsafe there especially for Jewish students. Ainsley, and thank you for bringing me on and giving airtime to this. When Ainsley interviewed me this morning, she played a clip of a professor that was holding a vigil on Brooklyn College. A vigil. This was a couple of days after the massacre of those Israelis. And the vigil was interrupted by these lunatic protests. What are they protesting? They're protesting a vigil of dead Jews in Israel, massacred Jews.
Here it is. Cut 39.
Don't let them hijack our event. Our event is to mourn the victims.
So that was a professor, not you.
No.
It was and they were being interrupted by people, Free Palestine.
Yes.
So it's insane. But you would think that if this was just generic, or let's say there was an explosion in the West Bank or something, and people want to go chant for something that they believe is right, that's one thing. But this is coming off one of the most horrific attacks you'll ever hear about any people ever, October 7th. You can't even imagine the horror of what these people lived through. and what they're probably living through now as hostages, and that is a go sign for this type of sentiment? City college is affordable. It's subsidized by the city and the state, and it used to be a quality education. It's one of the few advantages of living in New York. So a lot of people go there. Are you worried that thousands of people are being indoctrinated out into the real world looking for jobs with this mindset?
100%. We were talking off the air about the speech given at CUNY School of Law not that long ago by Fatima Mohammed, and she was calling for revolution against not just against Zionism, but also against America, against capitalism, against destruction of our entire. She called for defunding of the American military in that speech. Defunding of the American military. What does that mean? That means no more America. Right. And that's what she called for. That is the mentality that's going around. And I'm telling you, this is all coming from the unions, the faculty unions. They have no idea what to do with all their money. This is what they're doing with all their money.
So when they pay the dues, you got to pay the dues, right?
Well, I quit. I resigned from the union.
Okay, so the people pay the dues, whatever they do with their money, they do with their money. Do you think there's financing, beyond the dues? And that people have an agenda and are possibly paying off people?
I don't have any inside information like that. I do know that they are promoting the pro-Hamas rallies. I do know that they're coming with keffiyehs and flags. I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
And they're coming with all sorts of paraphernalia, and they're helping to organize these horrifying rallies.
Are they pro-Palestinian or pro-Hamas?
Well, that's a very tough question, right? So you can be pro-Palestinian rights without supporting a massacre of Jews. And I think what we saw for the first time here, at least in my lifetime, was the most obvious, clear line being drawn. Because what was happening? Look at the timeline. So October 7th, you have this massacre, rapes of Jewish women, beheadings of Jewish babies, for goodness sakes. And you have protests against Israel before even a single bullet crossed the line into Gaza. What does that tell you about the BDS movement, the boycott, divestment, and sanctions? These are the same people that were protesting Israel before Israel had fired one bullet into Gaza.
So we're dealing with CUNY law professor here, Jeff Lax, who's standing up for the outrageous things going on in New York City and specifically his campus. But it comes a little bit from the squad in Congress. Listen to this sentiment. It sounds very similar to your students.
How many more killings is enough for you? Is it 1,000 more? 2,000 more? 3,000 more? How many more Palestinians would make you happy if they die?
Most America is not with you, Mr. President. Most of America is not with the people that don't want to de-escalate and facilitate a ceasefire.
So that is anger. I didn't know this, but there were 37 million views of her, and she goes on to condemn the bombing that they say the IDF did on that hospital, which didn't happen, that was proven not to happen, that Islamic Jihad was caught on intercept showing it didn't happen, and she has tripled down on it. Is that damaging? Is it easy it's easy for me to marginalize this type of idiotic behavior, but it resonates, doesn't it?
It's horribly damaging. I mean, you have people, she left that tweet up. So now it is out there for her constituents, not just
American Congresswoman feels this way.
American Congresswoman believes that Israel, regardless of any proof, we live in a post-truth world. It is so scary. Really. My parents grew up in communist countries. For them to see this, I never in my lifetime, I heard about the stories when they were kids in communist countries. I cannot believe this is happening here. This is the kind of thing you hear from my friends who grew up in the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union. These are the kind of stories they tell you, that you know the government is lying to you. We're standing in that situation right now with look at Mark Levin's book, American Marxism.
Right.
And this is the kind of thing he's talking about, that you have a congressman putting out knowingly false information. Is it damaging? It's very damaging.
Yeah, I want you to hear finally what AOC said yesterday on Instagram, Cut 20.
The government of Israel, for many years, have been detaining innocent Palestinians without charges. The hostages that Israel is holding, that is also something that should be discussed. That has come up over years. And that is absolutely, the numbers and the estimates, I believe, are in the thousands. But war crimes do not justify war crimes.
If she thinks Israel's keeping hostages, arresting innocent Palestinians because they have jail space?
Yeah. Can I just ask a question here?
Yeah.
I know you're asking the questions. If she cared so much about the Palestinian people, and they're civilians, a lot of them very innocent, yes, some, and the ones that are innocent deserve to be treated like civilians. But if she cared so much about them, why is she not talking about Hamas throwing them off buildings if they're gay?
Right.
Why is she not talking about, the fact that they're being used as human shields for missiles? Why is she not talking about that? She doesn't care about them. She cares about hating Jews.
And anything anti-American.
Right.
She does. Jeff Lax, keep on fighting, all right? Don't quit and don't let him fire you.
Thank you.
All right, Jeff. Back in a moment.